Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger, that you should perform salah, pay the zakah, fast during Ramadan, and perform hajj to the house if you are able to do so. Okay? And then later on, after the Prophet ﷺ, after this man left, he asked the Sahaba, do you know who that was? And they replied, Allah and his messenger know best, because they didn't know who this person was. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that was Jibreel alayhi salam, and he came to teach you your religion. So this whole scenario, this is such an important thing to learn from. When Jibreel alayhi salam asked the Prophet, what is Islam, right? What is his answer? He doesn't have, all sorts of different answers or any agenda behind his answers, right? He gets straight to the point and he talks about the 5 pillars, right? And the first pillar is obviously the Shahada, that's the declaration of faith. But then the second pillar, and the one we're focusing on today, is Salah. And that's the thing that he mentioned right away. So that shows how important Salah is in our religion. There's another hadith. This is regarding what will be asked of us on the Day of Judgment. So the first matter that the servant will be brought to account for on the Day of Judgment is the prayer. If it is sound, then the rest of his deeds will be sound. And if it is bad, then the rest of his deeds will be bad. So this is such a powerful hadith. This is talking about on the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have asked us about all sorts of different things. What does he decide to ask us about? It's the most important thing, right? And he asks us about our salah. Not only is he asking us about our salah, but if we can answer that in a positive way, meaning if our prayer is sound, then the rest of his deeds will be sound, right? And on the Day of Judgment, if all of our deeds are sound, if our prayer is sound, then that means we're in a good, we're in good shape, right? That Allah is pleased with us. And then if it is bad, then the rest of his deeds will be bad. So this shows if we don't have our salah in order, right, we're in trouble. Then the rest of our deeds will be bad. Additionally, as part of this hadith, right, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us about the 5 prayers, right, of which there are 5, right, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. Additionally, if there are deficiencies within those 5 prayers, then he'll tell the angels to look at the sunnah prayers. And this is something really important for us. I think a lot of us, maybe if we're busy or we have different excuses, we might skip the sunnah and we'll only focus on the fard. But this is not correct. We should really focus on including the sunnah every single day. Not only is it important in that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks the angels, that it will help to cover for the mistakes in our fard prayers. Additionally, it serves as an extra shield against shaitan, right? So shaitan is constantly trying to bring us down. And alhamdulillah, we have a month where he's locked up, where we can see how much we're able to do when he's locked up, right? All of the things, the amount of focus that we have in prayer, the amount of Quran we're able to read, right? We can see the difference right away as soon as Ramadan starts. But it's really important that we build as many shields from shaitan as possible. So if one day, we're not able to pray the sunnah, right, at least our fard is protected, right? But Allah forbid that shaitan attacks our fard, and then our fard is gone, right? Then there's sin upon us, and then we're worried about on the Day of Judgment, how are we going to answer for that, right? So it's really important that we create these shields, around that. Another benefit of Salah is that it serves as a method for forgiveness and cleansing for one's sins. So the Prophet ﷺ said in a really beautiful analogy, he said, if a person had a stream outside his door and he bathed in it 5 times a day, do you think he would have any filth left on him? So the people listening to him said, no filth would remain on him whatsoever. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, that is like the 5 daily prayers. Allah wipes away the sins by them, right? So each prayer to prayer is a forgiveness for the previous prayers, right? And then from Friday to Friday, so on and so forth. This is a means for us to constantly attain Allah's forgiveness. The thing that's really interesting is that the Prophet ﷺ, after he would pray, he would say a couple of istighfar. So he would say, Astaghfirullah al-Azim, right? And one person might ask, like, why would the Prophet ﷺ ask for forgiveness, after doing something good, right? It seems like he's done something good. Why would he set an example of asking for forgiveness? The reason he does that is because he understands that no prayer is perfect, and that in any form of ibadah that we have, there are deficiencies, right? So that's why that need of gaining Allah's forgiveness is constant, from prayer to prayer, from day to day, right? From Ramadan to Ramadan, it's constant that we always ask Allah for forgiveness. And the Prophet ﷺ used to ask Allah forgiveness 70 times or 100 times a day. And he was forgiven for all of his sins, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you're forgiven for everything. So if someone like the Prophet ﷺ was forgiven for all of his sins, if he's asking for forgiveness, 70 times or 100 times a day, then certainly we need to ask for forgiveness at least that much, if not more, right? So one of the best ways of attaining that forgiveness is through doing the salah. Another thing I wanted to mention, and this is about recognition by the Prophet ﷺ on the Day of Judgment. Okay, so as some of us might know, on the Day of Judgment, the Prophet ﷺ will intercede for his ummah, right? Certainly we hope that we're part of that ummah, and we pray that Allah accepts us as part of that. The way that the Prophet ﷺ will be able to recognize us as part of his ummah is actually going to be by the limbs that we use to make wudu, right? And this is so important. So as we're getting prepared, right, if we're taking care of our prayer every single day, then we're making wudu constantly for those prayers, right? On the Day of Judgment, those limbs, like our arms and our face, our feet, will be shining, and the Prophet ﷺ will know that we're part of his ummah through that, the limbs that we use to make wudu, right? So not only is the prayer the first thing that's asked about, it's also like a key distinguisher for the Prophet ﷺ to be able to make dua for us to help us to enter Jannah. And certainly who else would we want, praying for us and interceding on our behalf other than the Prophet ﷺ, Allah's most beloved, right? The one who's closest to him. We certainly want his intercession. Okay, so these are just kind of a couple of few small points on Salah. In terms of kind of more on the basic side of things, we touched on it earlier. In terms of Salah, there's 5 prayers each day, right? So there's the Fajr Salah. This is right before sunrise, from dawn till sunrise. And then there's the Dhuhr Salah that starts from when the sun's at its highest point, right? Until, depending on a difference of opinion, how long the shadow is. So either 1 shadow length or 2 shadow lengths, that's the start of Asr time, which goes until the sunset, right? And then Maghrib time is after that. That goes until the red light in the sky is gone, right? And then there's Isha time after that. As we know, we fast every day from dawn, which is before Fajr time, until Maghrib time. And a nice thing is that in Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy and his forgiveness is showering upon us, and we get multiplied extra for all of the good deeds that we do. So Salah and prayer in this month is rewarded even more than any other month. So for example, if someone prays a nafil prayer in this month, then it's rewarded as if it's a fard prayer. And then if someone prays a fard prayer, it's rewarded 70 times or more. Only Allah knows. And as we know, each good deed is already multiplied 10 times. So that means in Ramadan, each good deed is multiplied like 700 times. So when you think about, like, you're opening up the Mus'haf and you're reading some Quran, as we're trying to do each day, each single letter is 700 rewards or more, right? Only Allah knows how much that is. So sometimes when we think about reward, at least the way I think about it is like, wow, if there was like 700 things that I wanted to buy and Allah just gave it to me for each letter that I read, right? That's a lot of things. That's a lot of gifts, right? What if someone said, hey, like, for each letter you read, I'll give you like a $700 gift card for Amazon or something like that, right? And of course, Allah's gifts are so much greater than what we can imagine in this world. But I think it's okay to kind of think about, oh, wow, what are the things that I love in this world? And what if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me like gifts like that in the hereafter, right? Jannah is eternal and the reward is so great. And, only Allah knows like what that will be, right? No eye has ever seen it. No ear has ever heard. We can't even imagine, how great it will be, but certainly we ask Allah to help us with that. So we went over kind of the 5 parts of the prayer. In terms of the mechanisms of praying, right, I think it's really important for all of us who are perhaps struggling for prayer or learning how to pray, that we kind of pair up with people who pray in our families and learn from them. I think there's a lot of specific things in prayer that would be a little bit difficult to go over all the parts within this talk today, but it's important that we learn from our family members and pray with them and practice with them, and then we learn the different parts. But kind of as an overview, right, the beginning of the prayer starts with the takbir, you say Allahu Akbar, and then there's some dua that you make, right? And then you recite Surah Fatiha, you recite a short surah, and then you go into ruku, then there's something to recite, then you get up from ruku, then you go to sajda, right? As we know, and then there are different amounts of cycles for each prayer. There's 2 rakahs for Fajr, 4 for Dhuhr, 4 for Asr, 3 for Maghrib, and 4 for Isha. And again, this is a really basic overview. I'm sure most of us on the call know these already, but if anybody doesn't know them, there's no harm in asking. Right in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you have a question, right, ask the people of remembrance, ask the people who know. So certainly if there are people in our family who know how to pray, nobody will be upset if you ask them, for some help in learning how to pray. I think it's really important. And we make the intention that we, try to do all of our 5 prayers, try to do that for Allah's sake so that we can attain His mercy, so we can attain His forgiveness, but ultimately so that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us that question, right, the first question of the prayer, that we'll be able to answer that question, and inshallah from there, everything goes smoothly after that. Okay, inshallah. So the next part, I wanted to open it up for questions. If you wanted to come off mute, you could ask a question, or if you wanted to type it in the chat. We're going to do some Q&A for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to end with some dua for everybody. We have some family members who've passed away recently from this virus, and many others, so certainly we want to take some time to make dua as well. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat.
Thank you very much, Mujahid Bhaiya. So we have one person, Rain Man. That's what his username says, but I think he raised his hand earlier to ask a question. So let's wait for his response if he's here. I don't think, is he here?
Let's see, I don't see him here anymore. But if anybody has any, feel free to type it up in the chat as well.
Hello?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the starting of Fajr time, Fajr prayer, and stop eating at time.
Mm-hmm.
So how it is explained that what time, what is the physical phenomena of this starting time, ending time of basically the stop eating time and Fajr prayer time starts. Physical phenomena, how do you decide? Say I don't have any watch or anything. Now I want to know, looking at the sky or something like that, what should I do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. So the way that you would recognize the start of Fajr time is when you're able to recognize the difference between a white thread and a black thread. One thing I would note is that in today's age, it's a little bit more difficult because of light pollution and such from, obviously we have a lot of artificial lights that make that measure a little bit difficult. But that would be the empirical way of checking. And then once you're able to recognize the difference between that white and the black thread, that's the start of Fajr time. In terms of on the apps, if you go to the different apps, if you go to the Fajr time calculations and you just click on the 18-degree calculation, then you can use that as well as a way of knowing when Fajr time starts. In terms of when you want to stop eating before fasting, you want to try to finish eating about 5 to 10 minutes before the start of Fajr time. The reason you do this is to follow the Sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ wanted that the sunnah is to allow for enough time to pray 2 rakahs of nafil with the time length of ability to recite about 50 ayahs. So that's about 5 to 10 minutes. So because when you wake up for suhoor, right, this is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowing you to worship him at the tahajjud time. So it's really important that you take a couple minutes to pray 2 rakah nafil before fajr time for tahajjud. So it's good if you could finish your eating about 10 minutes before that. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so we have one question in the chat. What is the recommended amount of food to eat during iftar?
In terms of for me, I just eat as much as I want. No, I'm just kidding. In terms of, no, mashallah, the sunnah for iftar is to break your fast with 3 dates. So that's a good thing to do in terms of how much you want to eat. You want to be able to have enough energy to be able to pray. So I wouldn't say like don't eat anything, but obviously you don't want to eat so much that becomes difficult or you feel too lazy to pray the Tarawih prayers afterwards. I see there's a question in the chat about reading from a mushaf for Tarawih at home. I know this is a common question now, especially because we're not in the masjid where there are huffaz who can lead us in the whole Quran. There's a difference of opinion. For a lot of the schools, they say it's okay to hold a mushaf while you're reading. In the Hanafi madhab, you're not allowed to hold a mushaf. That's excessive movement, so that would break your prayer. One thing I would say is that you don't necessarily need to read the whole Quran when you're doing Tarawih, right? That's not a requirement of Tarawih. That's not, it's a good thing to do, but I think it's more important. It's better if you just read from what you know. You can recite short surahs and read from that. And then afterwards, you can read from the mushaf as part of your daily recitation. But it'd be better not to hold the mushaf because of the excessive movement.
For the women, if they attend the Jama'ah at home with their husband or with their son, they can be separated for like 2 different locations, or they have to be close, like no space between.
What do you mean by 2 different locations?
Like 5 yards away. Sometimes they're not used to this kind of thing, so they might trigger smiling or something like that. So if they separate like a little bit away from each other, then it is easy for them to pray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, like say for example, if it's the same room, or even in the same house, if it's in a different room, that's fine. As long as like the men are praying together, that's fine. Yeah.
But they don't have to be together, like no space blank in between. It is not required.
That's right. Yeah, they don't have to be completely together. There can be a little bit of space. That's fine.
Okay. And I have one question regarding the Fajr time. What is the basic theme of different timings of different mazhab, the Fajr prayer? What is the I want to say, what is their methodology of getting different times?
Sure. So, unlike the other prayers, like Fajr, actually there is not necessarily a difference of opinion. It has to do more with an astronomical difference, right? So there's like the 15-degree calculation versus the 18-degree calculation. What I've learned from my teachers is that
a little bit of 15 and 18.
Yeah, that one's a little bit, that has to do with the angle, the twilight angle at which the prayer comes in. What my teachers have taught me is that the majority of the scholars go with the 18-degree option, and that's the slightly earlier time for Fajr. So to be on the safe side, I would recommend that we all go with that 18-degree timing. That's not a difference of opinion, that's a more astronomical difference, right?
Yeah, what is 18-degree means to astronomics?
Yeah, I don't know particularly what that means. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
We have a couple more questions in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. What are five that one must fulfill in the prayer of what to valid your prayers? Okay. Yes, okay. So in the prayer, yeah, you have to say Allahu Akbar, right? That's one fard. And then you have to recite Surah Fatiha. Okay, and then you have to have ruku, sujud, and then you have to have the last sitting. Okay, so those are the fard. There's a really good book. It's called The Essentials of Islamic Knowledge. That's one book I would recommend getting for everybody. That kind of lays out what's the fard parts of the prayer. So if you miss one of those fard parts of the prayer, then you'll have to redo the prayer. If there are smaller things you forget within the prayer, then you can do something called sajdatus sahu. That's the extra sajda at the end to correct it, and then you can correct the prayer that way. Let's see here. If one misses a prayer, what should he or she do to make up for it? Yeah, this is a great question. So if someone misses a prayer, they can basically, you start the prayer and you make the intention of it's called a qada prayer. So you make intention that, Allah, I'm making up for this prayer that I missed, and then you try to make that. And that's definitely something worthwhile, and especially as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask us about it on the Day of Judgment, that we try to make up any prayers that we missed, to the best of our ability. So, any other questions? Okay. Yeah, so is it sunrise to sunset or fajr to maghrib? Yeah, this is a great question. This is a common, it's a common mistake. Even you see it sometimes in textbooks, is that it kind of sounds cooler if you're just like, hey, we fast from sunrise to sunset. But no, it's definitely fajr to maghrib. So it's from dawn until sunset. So it would be the beginning time of fajr. So if you were to say it's sunrise to sunset, then you're talking about the end of fajr. So the fast begins once fajr time starts. Okay. Okay, Alicia has a question. 2 prayer times for Asr prayer. Yes, great question. For the Asr prayer, there is a difference of opinion as to when the prayer time comes in. For example, if you take like a pen, for example, right, and you look at the shadow length of it, based on the sun, when the shadow length is the same size as its pen, so like 1 pen shadow length, then that's the time that the Asr comes in for some of the scholars. And then other scholars believe it's when it's 2 lengths, so it'd be like 2 pen shadow lengths. So that's why you have a later time for Asr as well. But both opinions are correct, and both opinions have their proof as well.
Just inquiries like this. Both of opinion is correct. Do you have any information about these 2 different hadiths or something like that? That both opinion is in which case?
Yeah, correct. Oh, you're saying what's the proof? I don't have the proof with me right now. Like
anything that you know about it now.
Sure. Yeah, correct. So I know that in the Shafi fiqh, it's the 1 shadow time, and then in the Hanafi fiqh, the 2 students of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Muhammad and Qadi Abu Yusuf, both went with the earlier time as well. So it was the opinion of Abu Hanifa that it was a 2 shadow lengths. So the earlier Asr time is within the Shafi madhab. It's also an opinion within the Hanafi madhab, but the majority opinion, like the dominant opinion in the Hanafi madhab, is to go with the later Asr time. One thing that my teachers taught is that because of this difference of opinion, it's good to pray Dhuhr time within the earlier part of Dhuhr, as to not get in that time window, of when the earlier Asr starts. So to pray Dhuhr before that, the first early Asr time comes in, and then also to pray Asr, after that second Asr time, just to be careful. But again, both opinions are correct and within the madhab. Okay, any other questions?
We have one more question. It says, can you pray behind family via FaceTime or video call?
Okay. Yeah, no, unfortunately, you can't pray behind family through FaceTime or video call. You need to be in the same vicinity as them. For example, like even if you're like at Hajj and may Allah reopen the Haram so people can go back and worship, but like they have a large mic system, right? Many people pray, outside beyond the borders. But the point is that that line is continuous from the Imam all the way back to that person, right? So that you're part of that Salah. Certainly you can like listen on the FaceTime, or you can, just listen to recitation and such, but to actually follow a prayer behind someone in FaceTime, that would not be correct. Okay.
Hold on, something happened. We're just trying to
Yep, that's okay.
get.
Should we we can start with dua now if you'd like.
Yes, inshallah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, great. Let's see, one more question. How many rakahs should one pray for tahajjud prayer? You can pray as much as you want. The Prophet ﷺ used to pray 8 rakahs, so you pray like 2, 2, 2, 2. You could also pray it in sets of 4 if you'd like as well. But yeah. But certainly the hadith for the tahajjud prayer is huge, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts a lot of space between you and the fire just for 2 rakahs of tahajjud. And in the last third of the night, that's the time of the night when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends to the lowest heaven and asks of his servants, which one of my servants needs something. So Allah is, has a special attention at this time. So it's definitely, as we're already awake during suhoor, it's good for all of us to at least do 2 rakahs every day. But if we can do more, that's better. Okay, inshallah. So I know over there you guys have your iftar coming up soon, so we'll make some dua. Some family members have passed away from COVID, and some family members have passed away, over the past few years for all of us as well. So we'll try to make dua for everybody. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم اللهم اغفر لحينا وميتنا وشاهدنا وغائبنا وصغيرنا وكبيرنا وذكرنا وأنثانا اللهم من أحييتهم منا فأحيه على الإسلام ومن توفيتهم منا فتوفه على الإيمان اللهم إننا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Ya Allah, please shower your mercy upon us in these days of mercy. Ya Allah, please forgive us for our sins. O Allah, please enter all of us in Jannatul Firdaus بغير hisab. Ya Allah, please keep us safe and protect us from this deadly virus. O Allah, please send a cure for all of humanity, Ya Allah, and please cure all of those who are sick. Allahumma shfi mardana, marad al-muslimin, warham mautana, maut al-muslimin. Ya Allah, please allow this Ramadan to be our best Ramadan, and please bless all of us and put barakah in all of our efforts. Ya Allah, please accept all of our Quran, accept our recitation, accept our du'as. Oh Allah, please accept our prayers, accept our fasting for us. Ya Allah, and have mercy on us in this world and in the world hereafter. Ya Allah, none of us will be able to enter Jannah without your mercy, so we seek your mercy, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, please allow us to have mercy in the grave and on the day of judgment. Ya Allah, please allow us to answer the questions of the grave with ease. Ya Allah, please allow us to be protected from any punishment in the grave. Allow us to receive our book of deeds in our right hand. Allow us to pass the sirat at the speed of lightning. And O Allah, please open up all of the gates of Jannah for us and close all of the gates of Jahannam. And O Allah, please allow us to leave this world in a state in which you are pleased with us and we are pleased with you. Tawaffana muslima wa alhiqna bis salihin. Ya Allah, please keep our family within Islam, Ya Allah, and keep our children and our grandchildren within Islam. And for all of our family members and the Muslimin who passed away before, please grant them Jannah. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. Oh Allah, please allow all of us to witness Laylatul Qadr, a night in which we'll get reward for more than 1,000 nights, Ya Allah. Please allow us to recognize that and to take advantage of that, Ya Allah. And please elevate our rank in paradise and allow all of us to be in Jannah together, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, please put barakah in our rizq. Oh Allah, please grant us ease in our work, in our school. Ya Allah, during this time, many people are losing their jobs. Many people are getting sick, Ya Allah. Many people are very worried at this time. Ya Allah, you're the one who can help everybody. We seek your help and we ask for ease from you, O Allah. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن سهلا إذا شئت. ربنا تقبل صيامنا وقيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Jazakallahu khairan, brother.
وإياكم. Thank you everybody for taking this call, and I hope I was able to answer some questions, and I hope you guys were able to take some benefit.
Thank you so much, Mujahid Bhai, for joining this call, and thank you. That was a very good discussion. If anybody has any more questions, feel free to email us. It's learnfromramadan@gmail.com. learnfromramadan@gmail.com. So anybody have any more further questions, we'll try to answer them and get back to you as soon as we can. So everyone, take care and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Assalamu alaikum.